On the map of Kansas, you'll see dozens of tiny dots, but some of them are there on the map, yet have been completely abandoned for centuries.
These are towns swallowed slowly by a wrong decision.
An accident, a false alarm, a political battle, or simply the quiet power of nature. Today we're taking you through the 10 most mysterious, haunting, and shocking ghost towns of Kansas, where every empty street tells a story of a dream that was never fully realized. And remember, if you love uncovering strange, forgotten histories, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll be the first to see every hidden story we uncover. Get ready, because the number 1 town on this list will blow your mind. Number 10, Octagon City, the utopia that vanished with the wind. In 1856, a group of dreamers set out to build something extraordinary in the heart of Kansas. A town unlike any other. Every resident would be a vegetarian, or alcohol would be banned entirely. Slavery would have no place, and every home would be shaped like an octagon. Octagon City wasn't just a town, it was an ambitious blueprint for a perfect society, a place where moral ideals, architecture, and community life were supposed to reinforce each other. For a moment, the dream sparkled with possibility, but frontier life in the 1850s was unforgiving. Harsh weather, clashing personalities, and relentless economic pressure began to crack the foundation of the city before it could even take root. Unlike a town destroyed by fire or conflict, Octagon City didn't go out with a bang. It faded silently, absorbed into the vast Kansas prairie. Today it survives only as a name in history, a story of bold ambition, and a haunting question. What could have been? Octagon City reminds us that even the most radical ideals can falter when reality refuses to bend. Its legacy isn't in buildings or streets, but in the courage of visionaries who dared to imagine a perfect world, even if the world wasn't ready for it. Number 9, Silkville, the silk town that frayed in the prairie wind. In 1869, a wealthy French idealist had a bold vision. On the harsh plains of Kansas, we will build a new world of silk. He purchased thousands of acres in Franklin County and set out to create Silkville, a cooperative community where industry, education, and shared labor could flourish far from the bustle of the East Coast. Imagine it, a mulberry trees stretching across the fields, silkworms spinning their delicate threads, a sprawling 60-room main house standing proudly like a European chateau, a library of 2,500 books inspiring minds young and old. For a brief shimmering moment, Silkville truly glimmered. Its silk even earned praise at the 1876 Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia, a tiny Kansas town suddenly in the national spotlight. But silk, like dreams, can be fragile. The market was ruthless, labor became scarce, and the grand utopia slowly unraveled, thread by thread. Today, only a few stone buildings and the old schoolhouse remain, quietly standing in the overgrown prairie, silent witnesses to a dream that once shimmered but was never fully realized. Silkville is a haunting reminder that even the most beautiful visions can falter when reality refuses to cooperate, leaving behind ghosts of ambition, hope, and human striving. Number 8, Santa Fe, the county seat that the railroad ignored. In 1887, Santa Fe became the heartbeat of Haskell County. Courthouses, businesses, and offices sprang up. The town seemed destined to thrive as a center of power and progress. But in 1912, fate arrived on steel rails. The railroad reached Haskell County and bypassed Santa Fe entirely. That single decision changed everything. Merchants followed the tracks to towns with freight access. Families moved where jobs and opportunity were easier to find. Slowly, the life that had once pulsed through Santa Fe began to drain away. By the time the county seat was officially moved to sublet, Santa Fe had taken its last breath. People didn't just leave. Some even dismantled their homes and carried them away to their new towns. Today, Santa Fe survives only in memory and stories, a haunting reminder that on the frontier, sometimes progress isn't about ambition, courage, or grit. It's about where the trains decide to stop. Number 7, Irving, the town abandoned by fear, not floods. For over a century, Irving endured storms, locust plagues, and floods. Through it all, the town never broke. It had resilience woven into its very streets. But in the 1950s, a new threat emerged, one that wasn't natural, but man-made and psychological. The government announced plans for the Tuttle Creek Dam, promising to control future floods downstream. The townspeople panicked. "The water will drown us. We have to leave now," One by one, families abandoned their homes. Businesses closed. Streets that had buzzed with life grew silent. And here's the cruel twist. The lake never actually reached Irving. The water stayed miles away, yet the town was gone, not because of nature, but because of fear-turned policy. Today, the ruins of Irving still remain. Foundations mark where streets once ran. A visitor notebook sits quietly among the remnants, inviting anyone who comes to leave their name, as if the town itself still wants to be remembered. Irving is a haunting reminder. Sometimes, a town doesn't die from storms or disaster. It dies from the anticipation of danger, leaving behind only echoes of the lives that once were. Number 6, Lee Hunt, a town buried in the ashes of its factory. La Hunt was not just a town. It was a city born from a factory. And when the factory died, the town slowly died with it. In the early 1900s, the United Portland Cement Company built a massive plant here, and around it, homes, schools, and daily life flourished. The town's rhythm was set by the clanging of machinery and the hum of labor. Work and life were inseparable. But when the cement plant faced financial troubles, there was no safety net, no second industry to take its place. The factory changed owners, struggled, and eventually shut down. Homes were dismantled, equipment sold, and families scattered. Over time, the forest reclaimed the land. The concrete ruins, smokestacks, and empty streets now sit silently among the trees, as if nature itself is slowly swallowing the town. Today, La Hunt looks like a forgotten stone castle, wrapped in the magic of the forest, a haunting monument to a town whose heartbeat was tied to industry, and whose life vanished when that pulse stopped. It's a stark reminder. Towns built on a single purpose are beautiful, but vulnerable. Number 5, Eminence, the town that won, and lost an entire county. Eminence is perhaps the only town in history where a political battle wiped an entire county off the map, and took the town with it. It all began in 1887. Garfield County was a new frontier, and towns were scrambling for the prized title of county seat. For Eminence, winning this title wasn't just a matter of prestige, it was about identity, influence, and the promise of prosperity. The town's leaders, merchants, and residents poured their hopes, arguments, and energy into the fight against their rival, Rana. Victory came. Streets must have been filled with celebration. Lawyers and merchants raised their voices in triumph. The courthouse stood proudly, a symbol of power, permanence, and pride. For a brief, shining moment, Eminence seemed untouchable, destined to grow into a thriving regional hub. But history had a cruel twist in store. Almost immediately, it was discovered that Garfield County itself did not meet legal area requirements, mandated by the state. The very ground beneath the town was invalid. The county, and by extension the town's claim to power, was legally erased. The government moved swiftly. Garfield County was dissolved and merged into neighboring Finney County. Eminence, the victorious town, suddenly found itself powerless, its courthouse, streets, and civic dreams erased from the map. The town had won the battle only to lose the war of existence. For decades, a faint heartbeat lingered. The post office operated until 1942, and a handful of stubborn residents tried to maintain life. But without the county seat, without administrative importance, Eminence could not anchor its future. Slowly, families left, businesses closed, and the town faded into memory. Eminence stands as one of history's most bizarre tales of triumph turned tragedy, a place that achieved victory, only to be undone by forces beyond its control. Walking through its empty streets today, one can almost hear whispers of ambition, hope, and disbelief, echoes of a town that won everything and lost it all. It's a haunting reminder. Sometimes history doesn't reward effort or courage, it simply follows its own unforgiving rules. Number 4, Pawnee, the capital that lasted just 5 days. In 1855, Pawnee rose briefly to prominence as the first official capital of the Kansas Territory. For a fleeting moment, it was the center of governance, the heartbeat of politics, and the stage where the fledgling territory's future was being written. Lawmakers, clerks, and officials arrived with ambition and purpose. The limestone Capitol building echoed with footsteps, the rustle of papers, and the urgent debates of legislators determined to shape the destiny of Kansas. For 5 intense days, Pawnee held the promise of permanence. Its streets were alive with activity, its buildings buzzing with authority, and its citizens basked in the glow of historical significance. Then, almost as quickly as it began, the town's destiny was stripped away. A decision was made to relocate the capital, and Pawnee's political life came to an abrupt halt. The bustling courthouse, the hasty debates, the dreams of influence, then all vanished in the blink of an eye. Today only one solitary building remains. The streets where people once hurried to, meetings or markets, have long since disappeared. Foundations are buried, and nature has slowly reclaimed the land. Yet, if you walk the site today, it's impossible not to feel the ghost of those 5 days, the whispers of decisions made, ambitions ignited, and a town briefly at the center of history before being swallowed by time. Pawnee is a stark reminder of how power, influence, and legacy can be astonishingly fleeting. A town can rise to prominence, hold history in its hands, and yet vanish almost overnight, leaving only silence, stone, and the faint echoes of ambition. Number 3, Treece, the town slowly killed by poison. Treece was born from the promise of mining wealth, a small town where families built their lives around the extraction of lead and zinc. For decades, it was a working-class hub, its streets alive with the laughter of children, the chatter of neighbors, and the hum of industry. The town's heartbeat was the mines beneath it, a steady rhythm of labor and livelihood. But the very ground that sustained Treece also carried a hidden, invisible threat. Lead contamination seeped into the soil, water, and air, leaving toxic fingerprints on gardens, yards, schools, and even homes. Children played unknowingly on poisoned soil. Families drank and cooked with contaminated water, and everyday life became an invisible gamble. Slowly, the town's lifeblood turned lethal. By 2009, the situation had become impossible to ignore. The federal government issued a buyout offer, urging residents to leave before the contamination could cause permanent harm. Families faced a gut-wrenching choice: abandon not just their homes, but decades of memories, community bonds, and their sense of belonging. One by one, homes were vacated, streets emptied, and the town's heartbeat faded. Treece did not fall to economic collapse or natural disaster. Its demise was silent, invisible, and insidious, a slow consumption by poison that no amount of grit, hope, or labor could resist. Today, Treece stands as a ghost town frozen in time. Rusted signs, empty streets, crumbling homes, and abandoned school buildings remain, haunting reminders of a life once lived and a community slowly extinguished by contamination. Walking through the ruins, one can almost feel the lingering presence of the families who lived here, the invisible hazard that chased them away, and the quiet tragedy of a town consumed from within. Treece is more than a ghost town. It is a cautionary tale about the hidden cost of industrial progress, a chilling story of how ambition and natural resources can leave behind a lethal legacy, slowly erasing a community from the map and from life itself. Number 2, Radium, the town whose future was stolen by a false alarm. Radium was never a large city, but it was a tight-knit, resilient community. Its people were hardworking, calm, and steadfast, the kind who could weather harsh storms and survive the challenges of frontier life together. Then came the moment that changed everything. A single mistake, a false warning from government authorities, shook the entire town to its core. This area is no longer safe to inhabit. It wasn't a flood. It wasn't a war. There was no poisonous gas or lurking disease. Nothing tangible threatened the town. Just a miscalculation, a miswritten report, a bureaucratic error, and suddenly, Radium's residents were gripped by fear. One by one, families abandoned their homes, fields, and businesses. Streets that once echoed with life became eerily silent. The town emptied almost overnight, not because of danger, but because of panic triggered by a mistake on paper. By the time the truth came out, that the town had been safe all along, it was too late. Those who left never returned. Only a few residents stayed behind, clinging to their homes, their memories, and a sense of normalcy that had already been shattered. Radium didn't die from disaster or decay. It was terror that killed its future. Fear can hollow out a community faster than any flood, fire, or famine. Today the streets are quiet. Buildings stand empty, and the town carries the weight of what was lost. A haunting reminder that a frightened city can never fully recover from the illusion of danger. Radium is more than a ghost town. It is a cautionary tale of human psychology, showing how the mind can shape the fate of a place just as much as any physical threat. Number 1, Cherokee Strip, the city that existed on paper but never on Earth. The number 1 ghost town in Kansas is perhaps the most haunting of all. Because it didn't die from nature, war, or economic collapse. It died from silence. This town was planned along the edges of the Cherokee Strip. On paper, it was alive. Streets were drawn on maps. The town appeared in official records, and ambitious families dreamed of building a future there. It was supposed to be a thriving settlement, a place where generations would grow, trade, and live. But then a mysterious chain of setbacks began, surveying errors that confused the boundaries of the land, legal disputes over ownership that dragged on for decades, government delays and bureaucratic red tape that stalled development. Boundary lines changed 3 times in a single century. The result? The town that was meant to flourish, that was supposed to become home to thousands of families, never fully existed. No flood swept it away. No war destroyed it. No epidemic claimed it. Instead, bureaucracy quietly killed its potential. And perhaps that is what makes its story the most chilling of all. Cherokee Strip was a town that longed to exist, a place where hopes were planted and streets were imagined, yet trapped in a maze of paperwork, legal conflicts, and shifting borders. It was never born. Today, all that remains are silent fields. Grass grows where streets were meant to be. Earth covers the foundations of homes that were never built. The hum of life that was supposed to fill the town is replaced by an eerie, unbroken silence. Cherokee Strip is unique among ghost towns. It did not die. It never even truly lived. Its ghostly status comes not from abandonment, but from the tragic failure of creation itself. Walking these empty fields, you can almost feel the weight of unfulfilled dreams, the echoes of families who might have been, and the haunting presence of a town that exists only in memory and imagination. As we leave these abandoned streets, empty fields and silent towns behind, it's impossible not to feel the weight of history lingering in the air. Kansas is dotted with dozens of little points on the map, but some of the most haunting stories lie between the lines, in towns that were built on hope, dreams, and determination, only to vanish. From Octagon City's idealistic utopia to Silkville's delicate silk dreams, from the bureaucratic nightmare of Cherokee Strip to the invisible poison that claimed Treece, these towns are more than just empty buildings and overgrown streets. They are reminders of human ambition, resilience, and sometimes the fragility of our dreams. Each ghost town tells a story about what it takes to build a community and what can quietly destroy it. Weather, economy, fear, politics, or simply the cruel passage of time. Walking through these ghost towns in your imagination, you realize every street, every foundation, every abandoned mailbox has a story of families who dared to dream, of children who played in fields now overgrown with grass, and of entire communities that disappeared, almost overnight, leaving only whispers behind. And yet there's something oddly beautiful about that silence, something almost poetic in the way nature slowly reclaims what humans built. These ghost towns don't just haunt. They teach, inspire, and remind us that history is alive even in absence. So the next time you look at a map of Kansas, don't just see empty spots. Imagine the lives, the struggles, the triumphs, and the failures that once filled them. Imagine the laughter, the dreams, and the ambitions that history left behind. If you felt chills exploring these stories, if you were fascinated by these vanished towns, then imagine how many more secrets Kansas and the rest of America hold, just waiting for someone to uncover them. Before you go, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring the bell, and like this video if you want to keep exploring the hidden, the forgotten, and the mysterious corners of history with us. Share this with someone who loves history, mystery, and stories that send shivers down your spine. Because ghost towns are more than empty streets. They are echoes of dreams, warnings from the past, and reminders that even the strongest communities can be fragile. And who knows, maybe one day you'll walk through one of these ghost towns yourself and feel history whispering your name.